There was a lot of talk about Canelo Alvarez facing Terence Crawford, but his answer made one thing clear: he doesn't care about the rumors. He was asked if he now sees the Crawford fight differently and what challenges the undisputed welterweight champion would bring. Canelo cut the conversation short by saying,
"Weren't really entertaining it before, but that things have changed. What challenges does Terence Crawford present to you, and how do you beat him?"
Oh, I'm focused 100% on me. So, first is first.
When asked if fighting Crawford would add to his legacy, Canelo stuck to his guns. He acknowledged Crawford's achievements, but wouldn't had any more to do with the thought.
Do you think it'll add to your legacy, the fight with Crawford?
Yeah, he's a really good fighter. 2 times undisputed champion. He accomplished so much, so can add a lot to my.
It's not the first time Canelo has dodged questions about Crawford, but does his answer mean that the chance is gone for good? Please let us know what you think. For months, Canelo Alvarez has played down rumors that he might fight Terence Crawford, saying over and over that he's focused on his job. But after weeks of rumors, it looks like the fight is finally happening. The person in charge of the biggest fights in Saudi Arabia, Turki Al-Sheikh, has stated that Canelo vs. Crawford will happen in September.
Canelo in Riyadh in May, the big fight in the history of boxing. In September, then 2 more fights in 26. Don't miss with the line.
This is very big. Canelo, the undisputed 168-pound champion, will go up against Crawford, the undisputed welterweight champion. Crawford wants to make history by moving up 3 weight classes to challenge the Mexican superstar. For Canelo, this fight is about proving he's still the king of boxing and putting an end to any doubts about his willingness to take on all challengers. For Crawford, it's a chance to cement his legacy by pulling off one of the bravest moves in the history of the sport. Canelo Alvarez had been denying rumors of a fight with Terence Crawford for months, but now the fight is official, and Canelo has made a bold promise to Turki Al-Sheikh. He's coming for undisputed status again. Just for words, Canelo told Turki to calm him down.
Wanna look great.
There is one item miss from you now. That belt.
That belt. But I got you.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I got you.
This is a big statement. Canelo already became undisputed at 168, but now with Crawford moving up 3 weight classes for this historic fight, the stakes are even higher for Canelo. This fight isn't just about defending his title. It's about solidifying his legacy as the face of boxing, and with the full backing of Saudi Arabia, he's promising to leave no question. The boxing the world recently received giant news regarding the future of the sport with the news that Dana White, the UFC president and CEO, will enter into a boxing promotion with Turki Al-Sheikh that will bring the subsidiary of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund and TKO, the parent company of UFC and WWE, in a multi-year agreement. Following this giant announcement, Dana White spoke to Dan Rafael about the new deal and his plans for the future before the interview was played. Rafael shared what he knew about TKO possibly promoting Canelo vs. Crawford. Boxing insider Dan Rafael broke down the situation, showing that Canelo no longer has an official promoter and explaining who's likely to handle his massive showdown with Terence Crawford in September. Dan Rafael said, "Turki has a 4-fight deal with Canelo Alvarez, and he doesn't have an official promoter like when he was with Matchroom or with Golden Bow or when he was doing fights with PBC and TGB. This shift means Canelo isn't locked into any traditional promotional company, and instead his fights will be managed directly by Saudi Arabia's powerhouse backing. But who will officially promote Canelo vs. Crawford? Rafael believes the answer is clear." Dan Rafael also noted, "And so Dana will be doing these events for this unnamed company that Turkey and Saudis are backing. I believe, and I've heard the rumblings over the last couple of days, that it would seem logical that in the end the TKO-based company will promote the fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez in September. If this turns out to be true, it would mark a major shakeup in boxing's promotional landscape, with Saudi Arabia's influence getting stronger. Instead of Matchroom, Top Rank, or PBC calling the shots, it could be a Saudi-backed TKO-based business taking over for months. Canelo Alvarez shrugged off the idea of facing Terence Crawford. He never called for it, never pushed for it, and even dismissed questions about it. But now it's happening. Why? Because Saudi Arabia's Turki Al-Sheikh is making it hard to say no. Boxing insider Dan Rafael broke it all down. This isn't about tradition or rivalry. It's about money.
It's a fight that Turki Al-Sheikh from Saudi Arabia has shown a lot of interest in. And of course, if it's going to get made, someone's going to have to put up a lot of guaranteed money. And he's probably the person that's going to do it. He's obviously been working closely with Terence Crawford. He was involved with Terence Crawford's last fight that took place in August when he fought Israel Madrimov. It's obviously a fight that Terence Crawford has been very vocal about wanting.
Al-Sheikh has been highly involved in Crawford's career, backing his last fight in August. And now he's the one forcing this fight into reality by putting up the kind of money that even Canelo can't ignore. Crawford has always wanted this fight. He's been vocal. He's been asking for it. Canelo never did. In fact, Rafael pointed out that Canelo made it clear he wasn't interested.
Canelo hasn't ever said he wanted the fight, kind of downplayed it to a certain degree. But it wasn't that long ago, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago, he was doing an appearance and he was asked about it and he didn't close the door on it. In the past, he sort of like closed the door on it and was like, I'm not interested. He's like, listen, I'll talk to anybody and listen to what they have to say about the deal, any kind of deal. So in my mind, that sort of at least cracked open the door to have the conversation. Like he wasn't just saying, forget it, in terms of working with Turki or anybody else. So I think that Canelo is a smart person in terms of his boxing, but also in terms of his business.
But here's where things get interesting. Canelo never outright denied it either. A few months ago, when asked about Crawford, he left the door open just enough. Now, with Saudi Arabia making it public, the question is, did Canelo take the fight because he truly wants it, or because the money was too good to refuse as the Canelo versus Crawford fight inches closer to reality? Pros are already weighing in, and past world champion Mikey Garcia is not impressed. In fact, he says the fight is all wrong and already sees a clear winner for Garcia. This isn't about skill, it's about size, power, and simple physics.
I think Canelo wins that fight based on just the size, power and size. Now, skill-wise, I think Crawford is a better skilled fighter, but the difference in size will be the deciding factor, and that's why I'm not even a fan of that fight. I think Crawford has accomplished everything he had to accomplish. From 140, 147, now 154. That's even great for him. He wants to do something, collect belts at 154, he can attempt that. But there's no money in that compared to a Canelo fight. And Canelo is trying to fight other guys, and at that point it's more of a big fight, for the money that's gonna.
Garcia acknowledges that Crawford is the more skilled fighter, but he thinks the sheer size difference will be too much for Bud to overcome, and that's precisely why he's not a fan of this fight.
As a fight fan, I'm not really a fan of that matchmaking. I'd rather see Canelo move up and fight somebody like Bitterbeef or Bivol again. Yeah. If he wanted to challenge himself, move up to 175 again, and challenge himself against those guys. Not a smaller guy moving up.
He would rather see Canelo challenge himself at 175, taking on guys like Bivol or Bitterbeef again, rather than facing a much smaller Crawford moving up, but with the massive money behind this fight. It's clear why it's happening as Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford gets momentum. Former world champion Andre Ward has made his stand loud and clear. He's backing Crawford all the way. Many believe the size and power difference will be too much for Bud to handle, but Ward sees something else, an unbreakable will. Andre Ward stated, "I'm going with Terence Crawford. Big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it against you. It ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple. I am not betting against Terence Crawford against anybody right now. You have to show me that you can beat him." Ward made it clear this isn't about disrespecting Canelo. It's about believing in Crawford's ability to figure out any task in front of him. His confidence in Bud stays unshaken regardless of the weight, class, or the opponent standing in front of him. Terence Crawford isn't backing down from the challenge, with talks of a September fight against Canelo Alvarez heating up, but has fired off a mysterious but deadly confident message.
Listen,
I told my boy Jazz, I already caught the biggest fish in Texas. About to get out here and get it in. I see the water. I know who the #1 fisherman is. Even big fish get caught.
Crawford already showed his dominance by dismantling Errol Spence, who once called himself the Big Fish. Now he's making it clear Canelo might be the next prize catch on his list, with the fight getting closer to reality. Crawford isn't just talking. He's letting Canelo know exactly what's coming. Trainer Andre Rozier sees Crawford's move to 154 as a natural step, but when it comes to jumping up to fight Canelo, he isn't convinced. He views it as a risky and dangerous leap, asking whether Crawford can handle the sheer size and power difference.
In another weight class, and I think 54 is going to be enough for him. Him going up to fighting, quote unquote, if it should happen, Canelo, I don't see that ending well. It's just too much and too far to go. But that's what it would take.
Rozier's concerns emphasize just how massive this task is. Crawford wouldn't just be stepping up in weight, he'd be taking on one of the sport's biggest pound-for-pound stars, with a major physical disadvantage. With all the hype surrounding a potential Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford showdown, Canelo has finally replied to the idea of fighting the undisputed welterweight champion. And he didn't sugarcoat his thoughts.
Crawford, I see he wants to fight. He's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different and better. No, Terence Crawford is a great fighter. He's a good fighter, but like I say, he's weight classes for a reason.
Canelo's message is clear. He isn't taking Crawford's challenge lightly, but he also thinks there's a limit to how far skill can take you against size and power, while Crawford is chasing greatness. By moving up, Canelo is telling him that boxing history is filled with fighters who learn the hard way why weight classes exist. Keith Thurman, a former world champion with a sharp eye for strategy, thinks Terence Crawford sees something others might be missing in Canelo Alvarez. Analyzing Canelo's fight against Jermel, Charlo Thurman pointed out key moments that may have convinced Crawford he has a way to victory.
When Canelo fought Charlo, besides the knockdown, Charlo was able to protect himself very well against Canelo's onslaught. The only problem was, while protecting himself, there was no offense.
Thurman noticed how Charlo, after suffering a knockdown, adjusted his defense to minimize damage but failed to counter effectively, allowing Canelo to control the fight. He mentioned that Crawford, known for his adaptability and offensive creativity, likely sees an opening to explode.
And I believe, seeing what I saw, I believe Crawford saw the same thing. If Charlo can go so untouched by just being, once he got dropped, spider senses, boom, fully awakened, right? Boom. So now hands up, don't make no mistakes. So, that's how it is. We saw it in the Munguia fight. We saw it in the last fight. It's those little mistakes that end up having big consequences against Canelo.
Unlike Charlo, who focused on survival, Crawford may aim to mix defense with calculated aggression, exploring how to score while avoiding Canelo's devastating power. However, Thurman also accepted the danger. One mistake against Canelo could be fight-ending, and that's where the skepticism comes in. Some believe Crawford's size and recent performances don't suggest he can handle a full-fledged super middleweight. His last fight, a decision win over Israel Madrimov at 154, didn't leave a dominant impact. Even Ryan Garcia didn't hold back, calling the win a robbery.
Crawford is trash. Don't ever compare Crawford to Canelo again. Shout out young Triple G. He did his I felt he won. At least a draw. The judges, you weirdos, you guys suck ass. And Crawford, you're not pound for pound, suck it. You never fought nobody good. You fought Spence that had a car accident.
Sean Porter, a former welterweight champion who went toe-to-toe with Terence Crawford, isn't sold on the idea of Crawford stepping up to fight Canelo Alvarez, having felt Crawford's skill and power personally. Porter acknowledges his elite boxing skills, but he also sees a dangerous mismatch in size and strength.
The others say, like, no, that's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, you know, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he still got that kind of steam. But, you know, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo have, and how we find how they even out and who trumps one another, you know what I mean? We tried to do that with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, and we see how that panned out, you know what I mean? So
Porter's worry isn't about Crawford's technique or adaptability. It's about the sheer physical gap. Canelo has showed destructive power at higher weight classes, while Crawford has yet to prove he can handle elite competition. Beyond 150 pounds, the argument continues to grow. Is Crawford skilled enough to overcome the size and power disadvantage, or is he taking a risk that could backfire in devastating fashion? Nika Ali Walsh, the grandson of Muhammad Ali, weighed in on the ongoing debate regarding Terence Crawford's move up in weight to challenge Canelo Alvarez, while many analysts have voiced doubts about Crawford's ability to handle the size and power difference. Walsh sees things differently. He thinks that if there's any fighter capable of pulling off such a monumental challenge, it's Crawford.
Everyone's talking about like Crawford's jumping up weight classes, this and that. Canelo's one of the #1 pound for pound guys. Crawford's one of the #1 pound for pound guys. If anybody can do it, it's Bud and Bud only.
Unlike skeptics who warn about the physical disadvantages, Walsh presents the fight as a battle between 2 generational talents. His comment adds another layer to the debate. Is Crawford truly a once-in-a-lifetime fighter capable of beating weight classes, or will Canelo's power be too much? Boxing analyst Frank Stuthry just made one of the boldest and most controversial takes yet. He doesn't even think Canelo Alvarez will make it to his reported September fight with Terence Crawford. Why? Because he thinks Jake Paul will shock the world in May, defeat Canelo, and throw himself into the Crawford sweepstakes instead.
Canelo Alvarez is going to make it to September. I think Jake Paul, if they fight in May, he's going to beat Canelo. He's going to jump into the Terence Crawford sweepstakes, and you're going to have a whole separate big fight. And, you know, with Canelo being out of the picture, I think that is a great generational fight. I think Crawford versus Jake Paul will be huge and tremendous, sell out Allegiant Stadium.
This take is beyond bold. It's plain shocking. The idea of Jake Paul beating Canelo is already a stretch for most fans, but the thought of a Crawford versus Paul mega fight starring in Las Vegas that's next level is just wild speculation, or does Steya see something others don't? One thing is for sure, this prediction just blew up the boxing talk. Super welterweight champion Israel Madrimov has weighed in on the highly debated potential showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, giving a take that keeps the fight right down the middle.
Good fight. You know, if 168 pounds, I think it's Canelo, but it's Canelo better technique, because 50-50. If 12 rounds, Crawford win, I think. If knockout, it's Canelo. He has power, smart, in more practical.
We're talking about he has more experience.
He's very. Madrimov sees Crawford's ring IQ and skill set as the key to a choice victory, but when it comes to raw power at 168, he thinks Canelo holds the edge. This statement adds fuel to the fire. Can Crawford's technical brilliance balance the sheer size and strength of Canelo, or will the power disparity be too much to overcome for Gervonta Tank? Davis isn't holding back his skepticism about Terence Crawford's physical transformation lately, while many see Crawford's move up in weight as a bold challenge. Davis suggests there's more to the story, asking how Crawford has been able to pack on muscle while seemingly avoiding damage in the ring.
No. Crawford needs the money.
Crawford needs the money?
Yeah, he needs the money.
You think he had a chance to win?
And another thing, bro, I don't be wanting to, how these guys is
Then he get hurt against
Madrimov.
who?
There you talk about Crawford got touched by Madrimov. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
he got clipped by Gamboa, right?
Yeah, Gamboa.
Right?
Or Kavalaski?
He's looking this strong over the past year. I mean, these years. He ain't been getting clipped or nothing. So now, that's that snack shit. I'm telling you. Y'all laugh. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's the best.
And that guy that a part of it, he been caught before. He went to jail for it.
Davis is clearly saying that Crawford's sudden physical strength could be due to something more than just natural progression, even referencing Victor K's snack program, which has long been controversial in boxing circles, while there's no evidence to support these claims. Davis's comments add another layer of intrigue to the debate. Is Crawford's physique causing legitimate questions, or is this just pre-fight? Mind games. The conversation around Terence Crawford moving up 3 weight classes to face Canelo Alvarez has sparked heated debates, but Stephen A. Smith isn't mincing words. He thinks it's a bad idea. While Crawford has dominated every class he's fought in, Smith thinks there's a clear size limit to his greatness, and history has already shown why this fight could be a disaster for him.
Let me tell you what I think should be gone. The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small. Jermell Charlo already proved that. Y'all remember that scene from Rocky? Remember that scene from Rocky 2? When Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed and his trainer was like, can I be honest? I saw you beat this man within an inch of his life. And he kept coming. He wouldn't go away. He's wrong for us, baby. He's wrong. Let it go. Apollo couldn't do it. And lost fight number 2. Trained him for fight Rocky 3 and then got killed in Rocky 4 by Drago because he couldn't let it go. Bud Crawford needs to let it go. Too small.
Smith compares Crawford's ambition to Apollo Creed's downfall in the Rocky series, warning that moving up against a naturally bigger, stronger fighter like Canelo could be a career-altering mistake. He points to Jermell Charlo's loss to Canelo, where Charlo, a fighter naturally bigger than Crawford, was totally outgunned. If Charlo couldn't handle the power, what chance does Crawford really have? Smith's take adds fuel to the ongoing debate. Is Crawford pushing too far beyond his limits, or does his skill set make this fight more competitive than Smith thinks, having shared the ring with both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford? Amir Khan offers a unique take on how a potential fight between the two might play out. Khan, who was knocked out by Canelo at middleweight in 2016 and later stopped by Crawford at welterweight, knows firsthand the difference in power, size, and skill between the two fighters.
Size, bro, remember, but Crawford then is a big boy as well. Crawford's a big guy when it comes to a box fight. Yeah, I think Crawford, in my opinion, but size might matter. But then again, I think since when I fought Canelo's become a better boxer. He started boxing more better. You know what I mean? Technical more. Especially against the last fight against Mangui. He boxed really well as well. And he's looking really good. He's still, a lot of people might say, oh, he's getting old, this, another. But no, Canelo's still a beast.
Khan acknowledges that Crawford is not small, but he also recognizes that Canelo has evolved significantly since their fight, improving his technical skills and showing more calculated boxing ability. He points to Canelo's recent performance against Jaime Munguia as proof that the Mexican superstar remains dangerous despite whispers about him slowing down. If Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez happens, wouldn't just be another super fight, it would be a historic risk for both men with legacy-altering consequences at stake. For Crawford, the challenge is monumental. The reigning, undisputed super welter champion has already cemented himself as one of the most skilled boxers of his generation, having conquered 3 divisions and becoming the first male fighter in the 4-belt era to claim undisputed status into weight classes. But this move isn't just about belts, it's about daring to do what no one has done before, jumping up 3 weight classes to dethrone the undisputed king at super middleweight. The last time a smaller fighter tried this against Canelo, it ended in brutal fashion. Just ask Amir Khan or Sergey Kovalev. For Canelo, this fight is about protecting his dominance. The Mexican superstar has ruled as the face of boxing for over a decade, becoming a 4-division champion and holding the distinction of undisputed super middleweight king. His power has been tried and proven at 175 pounds, knocking out Sergey Kovalev and going toe-to-toe with Dmitry Bivol in a fight where size still played a role. While he respects Crawford's skills, he knows history favors the bigger, stronger, and more experienced fighter in higher weight classes. The stakes: if Crawford pulls off the upset, he shatters the weight class narrative and becomes one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of all time. If Canelo wins, he cements his legacy as an unbeatable force, super middleweight, crushing yet another ambitious challenger. No matter the result, this fight would be an all-time classic, a battle between skill and power, precision and pressure, legacy and desire. But what do you think? Does Crawford have the tools to overcome the size difference, or is Canelo simply too big and too strong?